Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Master Duel True Draco deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this one for you guys because we finally have Masterpiece off the ban list in Master Duel, which is insane. This card is so broken and it's amazing to finally have it back and back it up with all sorts of different floodgates so we can go in for game. And the best part about this deck is you don't even need an extra deck. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like in your name, description, every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to start with a single copy of Masterpiece. You really only need a single copy in this deck because it's so easy to get to in this build, and it's such an awesome boss monster. Once you summon this card out to your side of the field, you're probably just going to win the game because it's so hard for your opponent to out this card. Its card has the ability to contribute to summon this card face up by attributing continuous spells and trap cards you control as well as monsters, which is such an insane ability that all of your True Draco monsters actually share. This card has the ability to unaffected by the effects of cards with the same type as the cards you attributed to summon out this card, meaning monster, spell, or trap, which is really cool that you can make this card completely immune to monster, spells, or traps, depending on what you use to summon this card out to your side of the field. This card also has the ability that once per turn during either player's turn, if you control this card, you can banish a continuous spell or trap from your graveyard, target one of the cards on the field, and destroy that target, which is insane. This card is a pop every single turn. We then play 3 copies of Dynamite Knight. Dynamite Knight is definitely a 3-of in the build because this card actually helps us get to our trap cards, because this card has the ability that you can tribute summon this card face up by attributing continuous spells or traps you control instead of monsters, and once per turn during either player's turn, when your opponent activates a card effect while you control this tribute summon monster, you can take a True Draco or a True King continuous trap from your deck and either activate it or add it to your hand, instantly getting to the exact card that you need. We then play 2 copies of Ignis Heat. Ignis Heat does the exact same thing as your copy of Dynamite Knight, but this card works with our spell cards, which is very important for the deck to instantly get to the exact spell card that you need. We then play 2 copies of Majesty Maiden. Majesty Maiden is really good as a 2-of in the deck because this card can actually get to a copy of Masterpiece, which is so cool. This card has the ability that once per turn, when your opponent activates a card effect while you control this tribute summon monster, quick effect, add a True Draco or a True King monster from your deck to your hand, which is such a cool effect to instantly get to the exact card you need with this card's effect. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Pot of Duality. Pot of Duality is great as a 1-of in the build because we never special summon in this deck, so this card just helps us dig into the deck for the exact card that we need. We then play a single copy of Pot of Desires. Pot of Desires is great in this build as a 1-of because it helps us dig in the deck for the exact card that you need, but you always want to use this card after you summon out your copy of Masterpiece because you don't want to banish your copy of Masterpiece off this card's effect. We then play 3 copies of Draconic Diagram. Diagram is definitely a 3-of in the deck, and it's amazing that we not only got Masterpiece back, but we got this card as well, because this card can search Masterpiece. This card is the ability of all True Draco and True King monsters on the field gain 300 attack defense, and the first time each tribute summon True Draco or True King monster would be destroyed by battle each turn, it is not destroyed. And once per turn, you can destroy one other card that you control or in your hand, and if you do, add a True Draco or a True King card from your deck to your hand, instantly getting to your copy of Masterpiece, which is insane. This card is definitely a 3-of in the deck because it can instantly get your copy of Masterpiece. We then play 3 copies of Disciples. Disciples is great because this card helps you recycle your resources, because this card lets you target 3 True Draco and or True King cards in your graveyard, shuffle them into the deck, and then draw a card. And during your main phase, you can immediately select results, tribute summon a True Draco or a True King monster face up. And if this card is sent from the spell and trap card zone to the graveyard, you can actually pop a spell or trap on the field. We then play 3 copies of Heritage. Heritage is definitely a 3-of as well in the deck, because this card has the ability during your main phase, you can draw cards equal to the number of True Draco and True King types, monster, spell, or traps sent from the field to the graveyard this turn. And it also has the ability during the main phase, you can actually main its effect results, tribute summon a True Draco or True King monster face up, and just like your copy of Disciples, if it's sent from the spell and trap cards into the graveyard, you can pop a spell or trap on the field. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get in to the traps. So for the traps, we're going to start with a single copy of Summon Limit. This card is absolutely broken in the deck because once we summon another copy of Masterpiece, we really don't need to summon anything at all in this deck. So this card is really good as a 1 in the build just to lock down the opponent. We then play a single copy of Skill Drain. Skill Drain is really good in this deck as a 1-of, because again, once we summon out Masterpiece, it doesn't really matter anymore. We pretty much won the game. So this card is really good at stopping your opponent's monster effects. We then play a single copy of Rivalry. Rivalry is such a good card in this deck as each player can only control one type of monster, and we're only ever going to control Masterpiece, so this card is really good in the deck as a 1-of. Plus, it really locks down your opponent. We then play a single copy of There Can Be Only One. There Can Be Only One is great in this deck as a 1-of because it makes so each player can only control one monster of each type. And again, as long as we control Masterpiece, we pretty much win. So this card is really good for us and really bad for our opponent. We then play 2 copies of Lose One Turn. Lose One Turn is really good as a 2-of in the deck, as this card is the ability you activate this card only if you control no special summon monsters, which we only are ever going to control tribute summon monsters. And this card is the ability while a monster is face up on the field, negate the effects of the monsters during the turn they were special summoned, and if that monster is special summoned in attack position, you change it to defense position, which is such a cool ability to be able to use with this card just to lock down your opponent. We then play 3 copies of the Monarch's Erupt. The Monarch's Erupt is crazy powerful because this card is basically 3 more copies of Skill Drain, as you can activate this card only if you have no cards in your extra deck, which we don't play an extra deck in this deck, and if you control a tribute summon monster. You negate the effects of all face-up monsters on the field, also while those monsters are face-up on the field, except tribute summon monsters, meaning it's going to completely lock down our opponent, but we are going to play freely because our copies of our monsters are not locked down by this card, only our opponents. We then play 3 copies of True Draco Apocalypse. Apocalypse is really good as a 3-of in the deck, because this card has the ability, if it's sent from the spell and trap cards onto the graveyard, you target a monster on the field and destroy it, which is a really cool effect just to help you pop a card on the field. And also, you can activate the following effects of this card in the same chain, that you can target one other True Draco or True King card that in your you target one other True Draco or True King card you control, destroy it, and if you do, the attack and defense of all face-up monsters that your opponent control become half their current attack and defense, even if this card leaves the field, which is a great effect to basically just half the opponent's monster's attack points, so we can go in for game. And also, if you activate that effect, it's just going to help you protect your copy of your Masterpiece, because it's going to make your opponent's attack points lower, so they can't swing over your copy of Masterpiece. This card also has the ability that during your opponent's main phase, you can immediately effect resolves, tribute summon a True Draco or a True King monster face up, which is a great effect to be able to use. We then play 3 copies of True King's Return. True King's Return is great as a 3-of in the build, as this card has the ability of sent from spell and trap cards into the graveyard. You can target a monster on the field and destroy it, just like your copy of Apocalypse, which is amazing. And you can only use each of these effects once per chain, that you can target a True Draco or True King monster in your grave and special summon defense position. Also, for the rest turn, you cannot special summon, which we're never special summoning anyways. And just like your copy of Apocalypse during your opponent's main phase, you can immediately effect resolves. You can tribute summon a True Draco or True King monster face up, and you can only use each effect this card once per turn. We then play 3 copies of Apopus the Swamp Deity. This card is a really spicy card for the deck because we play so many different floodgates in this deck. This card is insane, as during the main phase you can special summon this card as a normal monster that's a reptile earth, level 6, 2000 attack, and 2100 defense, and this is always treated as a trap. Then you can negate the effects of face-up cards your opponent controls up to the number of continuous traps you control until the end of this turn, which is a really cool ability to be able to use to basically just use this card as a negate for the deck. And it's absolutely broken in this build because we play so many different continuous spells and traps that we can use with this card. And you basically just use this card to basically summon out a monster to your side of the field so that you can use it to protect your life points, and you can use this card as a negate, which is insane because if you have a bunch of floodgates on the field, you're going to negate a bunch of cards on the field. We then play 3 copies of Solemn Judgment. Solemn Judgment just says no to anything, and you really want to say no to cards like Lightning Storm and Feather Duster in this deck, because you really want to destroy your opponent, or you really don't want your opponent to destroy your back row in this deck. So this card is extremely important in the deck to help you protect your back row in this particular build, and this card is really powerful in the deck to basically just say no to anything that your opponent does. So that's it for the deck, guys. We do not play an extra deck because you do not need an extra deck in this deck at all, because it would actually go against the Monarch's Erupt. So you really don't have an extra deck for this deck, which actually makes it very easy to craft in this build, which is insane. And I love that about this deck, that it makes it so easy to craft, and it's such a cool deck to be able to play because you don't even have to have an extra deck. So it makes it so cheap to actually make this deck. I think I have 5 URs in this deck, which is insane. And it's so good for beginner players to be able to pick this deck up, to be able to play, because it's very easy to play and it's very easy to floodgate your opponent. So that's good for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.